Hey, Tommy from the Run Testers, and welcome back for another monthly roundup. In this video, we talk about all the things that we've tested over the past month or so that we just want to tell you about. And these tend to be things like accessories or fueling that we haven't had a chance to put into another video. So they're just things that we thought you would like to know about. Right, let's jump in and see what we picked this month.
For my first pick then, I've got this Adidas Terrex race vest. Now I used this race vest for my recent attempt at the Berlin Wall 100 miler. I grabbed it quite last minute and I was really pleasantly surprised with how well it performed on that race. Now it's relatively light and minimal, but it's good for transporting the essentials. There's enough room in here for all the main kind of obligatory kit that you would take. There's a nicely padded back and harness that's pretty breathable. There's room up front in here for two soft flasks, two 600ml soft flasks. There's a sizable main back compartment with enough room to stash all your mandatory kit, including a waterproof jacket. There's also this external pouch here. It's a little bit open for my liking, but I didn't really use that. I really like the toggle bungee straps that you get up front. These are adjustable. There's also an adjustable harness which you can size down to make a good secure fit and to keep it locked in place without too much bounce. Now, one thing I'd love a little bit more storage up front, but overall I think this performed brilliantly on a race where I didn't need to carry that much. Oh yeah, and there's a built-in whistle. So yeah, that's the Adidas Terrex race vest. So next up, I've got another find that I trialed at the Berlin Wall Ultra, and these are the SiS Tiramisu Go Energy Bake bars. Word of caution though, these definitely fall into the slightly engineered race fuel category. Natural, they do not taste. Now I don't usually go for that over the more kind of real food options, but for this race I really wanted some variety. I decided to give them a crack. And they worked really well. I'd still only use them sparingly for races, but they worked pretty good for a flavour change. They're nice and compact. They've got a crumbly, cakey texture with a soft centre that's not too dry. It's a bit like a Nutri-Grain bar texture if you've kind of had those, but a bit more bulky, a bit more dense. But you still need a little bit of water with them, I think, to wash them down nicely. But the flavour was good. I found the tiramisu was a nice counterpoint and alternative to all the fruit and sweet flavours. It's different from that. But there's also not too much coffee, it's not overdone. And the hit of energy is good too. There's 30 grams of carbs in each one of these. That's about a third of what I was aiming to eat each hour on Ultra, so I'd use them in combination with other things. You're probably only going to want to use these on long and slow runs where you can cope with chewing and the kind of more solid foods, or perhaps as a pre-run top up. And they can get easily quite squashed and mashed up in your pack. But if you're after a bar to help power long hauls, I think these are really worth a look. And you can also get them in lemon and strawberry if coffee or tiramisu is not your thing. And they're vegetarian friendly as well, but not vegan. So if you're after a chest strap on a budget, then I've been testing this Coospo H9Z. It's a no frills monitor that offers pretty reliable accuracy with okay comfort and a rechargeable sensor with around 32 hours of battery runtime. In my test, the battery life was barely touched even after a 2-hour run, so that's really solid. The sensor's pretty compact. The strap isn't like the most sort of soft or comfy, but it is fine. It's a bit rigid where the sensors are. And I've worn this a lot and it's kind of been fine for no rubbing. There's no tracking outside of heart rate and HRV, and it doesn't really store stuff independently. There's no onboard storage, but it will beam stats to 2 Bluetooth devices simultaneously. And if you want something to track heart rate for under 40 pounds, it ticks a lot of the right boxes.
So my first pick this month is the Coros Heart Rate Monitor. This is a lightweight armband heart rate monitor that costs $79. It's got Bluetooth connectivity but no ANT+. It offers up to 3 Bluetooth connections at once though. It's got a 38-hour battery life or 80 days in standby mode. And I'm pretty surprised at how much I've ended up liking this. It's become the heart rate monitor I use day to day, having previously nearly always used a chest strap, and that's largely just down to the fact it's a very convenient and easy product to use. There's no buttons on it. You slip it on, it turns itself on, connects to your watch, off you go, take it off at the end, and it turns itself off again. And while that might not seem like a big deal, it didn't seem like a big deal to me when I first got it in. It actually is really convenient and easy to use, and I've enjoyed that a lot to the point where I have started using it every day. It connects very easily to a range of watches. Mostly I've been using it with Garmin devices. It's very comfortable and you basically forget it's there on your arm. I've used it for a 51k run where I really did benefit from having it as an armband because I don't like using chest straps for very long runs when using a rucksack, like a trail running pack. So having the heart rate monitor out there on your arm is obviously very easy and convenient. Accuracy is good. It's pretty much what you expect from an armband heart rate monitor that uses optical tracking. There's a little bit of lag behind a chest strap when you look at intervals and things like that, but it does record every interval just with that slight amount of lag, and the actual peaks and troughs you get with this compared to a chest strap have been spot on for me. Like throughout runs, I've been checking live and I've looked at graphs afterwards. The accuracy is very much there, as long as you'll have to accept that it's going to have that tiny bit of lag compared to a chest strap, which obviously is a little bit more spot on through the way it measures your heart rate. A big rival is obviously the Polar Verity Sense, which is a little bit more expensive, but does offer extra features like swim tracking and the ability to store workouts. But for runners, I do think the Coros Heart monitor is a good option. It's accurate, easy to use, and very convenient. And the battery life's long enough that you're not really worried about charging it very often, unless you are a much bigger runner than me, logging like 20 hours a week. But doing 5, 6, 7 hours a week of training, it will last you a few weeks comfortably. My next pick are the Sungod Classics sunglasses with prescription. This is a new service from Sungod. All of their lifestyle frames now offer prescription lenses, which is huge for me as a spectacle wearer. I usually wear these on the run, and if it's sunny, I have to put contacts in and then put some normal sunglasses on. But I've started using the Sungod Classics for all my runs in the sun, which have been reasonably frequent in the UK summer, if not outstandingly frequent, and they're just really good for running. They're also obviously just a pretty simple style, so you can wear them for everything. They just become my go-to set of sunglasses for running life. And basically now I can just rotate between these Oakley ejector frames and then the Sungod Classics depending on the weather. So the Sungod Classics cost £70 or $90 for the standard frames. Now if you go for prescription, this rises to £160 or $210. You enter your prescription online, and then it takes a few weeks for them to make the glasses and send them out to you. Get all the usual customization options with Sungod in terms of the frame color and the lenses you choose to suit different conditions. And then you just add the prescription on top of it. The fit of all of Sungod's lifestyle glasses is very good for sports, I've found. With the Classics, they stay in place perfectly well. If you want that little bit of extra security, which I always do on running glasses, I've added little silicone grippers there that sit behind the ear. So especially when it's really sweaty runs, I have a kind of nose where my glasses do slip down a little bit. So I tend to add little things to pin them in behind my ears, which is comfortable enough. You can get those silicone grippers off Amazon or anywhere for a couple of pounds. You get hundreds of them and they start losing them all over the house. So yeah, I can't speak highly enough of the Sungod Classics. They're not very cheap, but prescription glasses you can use for sports are never that cheap. And actually these are pretty reasonable given that you can use them for everything. They look good, they fit well. I've used them on very long runs, and they're pretty hardy as well. You get a lifetime guarantee which covers damage to the frame but not scratches to the lenses. But these are pretty hardy glasses. I've just popped them in a running bag using just this soft case and not really had any concerns about the fact they're going to get damaged or anything like that on the run. So yeah, that's the Sungod Classics. And then my last pick this month is the SEP Run Socks Tool. SEP, C-E-P, I'm going to call them SEP. These cost £45 or $60, and they are SEP's main compression socks within the range. I've also tested their ultralight socks recently, which are also very nice and very good if you're consistently running in hotter weather. But if you're running in milder weather, I prefer the feel of the SEP, the Run Socks, because they have that slightly more bulky and comfortable supportive feel from the thicker fabric. Same time, they're not at all hot. I've used these for my 51k run in Wales earlier this month, and they were very comfortable throughout. I've used them for pretty much all my long runs recently, and I'm planning to use them for an ultramarathon next month as well, a 50 miler, because they are really comfortable. They provide that little bit of support, and I don't know, there's no real science behind this yet, I don't think, but I have been struggling with some Achilles niggles of late, and I just feel a bit more comfortable going out for runs, long runs and hard runs in particular, whilst wearing a compression sock. And I really like SEP's range. They're really comfortable. They wash well, stand up to a lot of washing without becoming, hard or starting to get damaged. They last a long time. They fit well. They're not that hard to get on. They're not annoyingly hard to get on, I'll put it that way, because some compression socks I almost don't end up using because it takes so long to get them on my foot. These are quite hard to get on, as you'd expect, but not annoyingly hard. And they're, like I say, they provide that nice balance of support while still feeling quite lightweight and breathable.
Over the past year, I've got quite into using fueling for my training and racing. Before then, I did nothing. I used to turn up at marathons and just hope there was something on the course for me to eat or drink. But since over the past year, I've got a little bit more serious about my training, and as a result, I've taken fueling more seriously as well. Over the past few months, I've been trying out a load of different fuels because I have Berlin Marathon coming up in a few weeks, and I wanted to see if there was something that might work better for me when it comes to the race over the gels that I'm currently using. One of the things that I've been testing, which isn't a gel, it's the Tailwind Endurance Fuel Mix. Now, this is a powder. You mix it in with water, and it gives you 200 calories in this serving, which is a 54 gram sachet serving. That gives you 50 grams of carbohydrates and 1.5 grams of salt from that serving. Now, I'm not a big fan of running with a water bottle. I definitely wouldn't want to race whilst running with a water bottle. I know some people like that. They prefer to do that. I like using gels because I can just stick them in my pocket and I don't have to have anything in my hands. However, I have been using these quite a bit for my training runs. So when I'm doing longer training sessions for my marathon training and I'm not running really fast and I don't mind carrying something in my hand, I've been testing these out as a way for me to fuel and hydrate. And I am really enjoying them. They are really nice tasting. I've never used these drinks for training runs before. Normally I'd only ever use gels or nothing. But I've been using these and they're working really well. I think one of the things that I'm getting out of it is that I don't tend to drink a lot of water when I'm out training because I don't like carrying a bottle. But using these, because they have electrolytes in as well as the carbs, I'm getting a bit more hydration in as well, which is definitely helping with my training. I still say that I wouldn't use them for race day still, just because I don't want to carry anything around me when I'm running, but I'm really enjoying the taste of these. I think they're really nice, and I'm enjoying using them. I think I'll carry on using them for training in the future. There are loads of different flavors of these. So you've got berry flavor, you've got mandarin flavor, you've also got my favorite, Colorado cola flavor. I think these slightly do differ on the amount of carbs that you get in some of these, but they generally sit around that 200 calorie mark in these ones, and they're just a really solid, enjoyable thing to drink. They're very tasty. They're quite strong tasting as well, so you get a lot of flavor from them, and they don't really taste like energy drinks for me. They taste just quite nice and refreshing. So Tailwind Endurance Fuel. My next pick this month is a bit of an experimental one. If you watch the channel, you will know that I have a bit of an issue when it comes to super shoes at the moment. What I'm finding is that on the right hand side of my right foot, I seem to be ripping the bottom off of most of my super shoes. I've done it to about 5 super shoes now. Never used to do it. It's only happening recently. I don't know if I've changed my running style or something, or super shoes are just getting lighter and lighter bits of rubber on the outsole, and my running style is just not designed for that. But what I'm finding is I'm ripping a lot of the bottoms of my shoes off. I've tried to fix it, so I've been using different types of super glue on my shoes to stick the rubber back on, and it just doesn't work. I've tried a few different super glues, and what I found is that even though it sticks onto them, as soon as I go running, the super glue just comes off. It just instantly pulls off from the midsole. And I think the reason for that is that most super glues aren't designed to be very flexible. Once you've stuck them down, if you then move the midsole, and with super shoes, most running shoes, you expect them to have a fairly soft midsole. It just pulls apart the glue and it just doesn't work anymore. So this Goo II, it's actually designed a bit differently. So when you put normal super glue on something, it tends to dry very quickly. This doesn't. It takes like a day, 2 days to dry, and the reasoning is that it's meant to be a lot more flexible. So the way that it sticks things together means that you can actually move the shoe, which is why they're specifically designed for shoes and not just any sort of gluing. So what I've been using the Goo II for is sticking on these bits of rubber that have been coming off a lot of my shoes. Now what I've found is if the rubber has completely come off, so if I've ripped off the whole bit of rubber, it's not great at keeping it on. It does tend to, it doesn't seem to go back on as well, and it's not as successful. I find that I have to keep sticking it down and down again to sort of get it to stay down. But what I've found is that on shoes where, this is a good example, I've just done this one yesterday, shoes where it's just coming off, so say the shoe has got a bit older and a bit of rubber is coming off the back or the front section, you can use it to just stick that bit down and it just holds it in place for, and it works a lot better for that. So if you've got a pair of running shoes and there's a bit of rubber started to come off somewhere, it's a good thing to have to stick it down and get a bit more life out of it. Obviously if your shoe's still in warranty and you've only had it for a short period of time, you should take it back. But if you've got older shoes and you want to prolong their life but you've got bits of rubber coming off, this Goo II seems to work very well for it, and I'm impressed with it so far. You just have to make sure that once you've stuck it down, it doesn't stick straight away. So what I've been doing is sticking it down and then strapping it with elastic bands or some tape and just leaving it there for a couple of days to eventually set, and it works quite well. So yeah, definitely give this a go if you're looking for some glue for your shoes and you have not had much success with existing super glues. My final pick this month is the North Face Summit Pacesetter shorts. Now these are shorts designed for the trails, but they're just good shorts. You can use them for road. I use them for road. I don't think I've ever used them on the trails. The reason I like these is they are really, really light. So they're very, very thin, very loose as well. They feel like they sort of flap around in the wind. They're not hugging. They're not thick, and they dry very quickly. So if you're out running on the trails and you get a bit sweaty and you stop and you go somewhere else and you're walking for a bit, they do dry off very quickly, which I find very nice. They have lots of pockets. So you've got a big pocket at the back. Well, I say big. It's not big enough to hold a phone. It's more for your keys and your credit card and things like that. You definitely have to have a waist strap on or a backpack if you wanted to carry your phone around with you in these. You also have these secondary little mesh pockets on the side. These are for like gels and stuff. There's one either side, and there is also a little mini stash pocket inside as well if you wanted to put hydration tabs or something like that. It does have an inner liner, but it's like a pant inner liner, so it doesn't go all the way down the legs. I do prefer shorts that have a full length liner that sort of protects your legs and gives a little bit of compression on them, just because my thighs rub together when I'm running sometimes, and they can get sore. I haven't had that problem with these though. They just feel very light and comfortable, and I've really been enjoying running these. They're just a very comfortable pair of shorts to wear. They look nice as well. They're quite pricey though. £65 is a lot of money for a pair of shorts, but I do think they are good quality and they look very nice if you are into fashionable running shorts. So there you go, North Face Summit Pacesetter running shorts. That's it from us. Thanks a lot for watching the roundup this month, and don't forget that if you go into the caption below, you can listen to our podcast that comes out at the end of each month. And as always, if you go to the channel, you can find loads and loads of videos of the latest shoes and kit that we've got covered at the moment. Thanks a lot for watching. Catch you next time.